Hey guys, what's up? GreenMachineSam back with another video, and today we have another Madden 24 roster update guide. Now, of course, not a whole ton has happened since the end of the draft, and of course, now that a lot of the veteran free agents are signing to teams that still needed positions to fill, as well as a bunch of other stuff, and teams slowly filling out their rosters with both veteran talent and undrafted rookies alike. So let's get into things. Now, first and foremost, for anybody that is new here, I do have the #1 roster on PS5, and this is a PS5 exclusive roster. I tried to create as many of the draft picks as humanly possible in this year's draft. Now, of course, I can only get to so many before I hit the create a player limit, which basically means I cannot create any players from scratch after that point. So I made 223 total rookies. Now, I do plan on adding a couple rookies here and there, just depending on positional needs, as well as who I think could make an opening day roster, which is the 53-man of week 1. Those guys I will try to make. It's just for the simple fact that a lot of those guys I do have to go in and edit over existing players that I don't think are going to make a roster, or guys that weren't even on practice squads last year. But stuff does have to line up when I do go create over those guys, because you do have to understand something. I cannot change certain aspects of certain players. Some of you guys that may not have ever watched the video, or this is your first time watching one of my videos or roster updates in general, I cannot change certain things about players, whether they're a created player, whether they are a player that is actually in the base game that you will be able to see without downloading my roster. I cannot change a couple things. First and foremost, I cannot change age, experience, contract numbers, or dev trait. Those are the 4 things I cannot change. Now, of course, you can change all that once you hop into franchise. If you are using the roster for franchise mode, you can more than definitely hop into franchise and change all those things once inside a franchise. Now, of course, that does still provide you with a lot of work, because you would have to change. Let's say you decided to hand out 40 to 60 dev traits, and then you wanted to fix some, contracts and stuff, and you wanted to get some of the extensions that were done this offseason. You're looking at several hundred players or so, right? One thing I will say is I can get around the contract years for the most part. Contract years and contract money in the roster section is more based upon overall than anything else. Well, it is only strictly based upon overall. If you're a 75 or above, you get 3 years, and then depending on how high above a 75 overall you are, will determine the amount of money you get. 74 through 60 is a 2-year deal, and then of course 60 would be getting the lowest 2-year deal, and 74 would be getting the highest 2-year deal, and then 59 overall or below at any position gets you a 1-year deal. And then of course, as you go down in the overall, it does change the contract a little bit. Not by much, it's only probably 100K or so. So whether they're 59 or they're 12, it shouldn't change much. Now, of course, like I said, I've put a lot of time and effort into this roster. I would love to see what the hours I've put in on this game, just between, the hours that I spent doing the draft class and the roster in general. It's a lot of hard work, and I think I've done a pretty good job this season. I've been playing with it. I've been having a blast. I know there's problems with, teams cutting rookies probably sooner than they should have in real life, but it's just stuff that I can't fix in Madden. I'm sorry that I cannot fix it. Trust me. I wish I could provide the perfect roster for you guys. That's just not the case. Madden/EA, I think they know with the success of NCAA 14, the modding community, as well as the guys that kept the roster alive on the PS3 and Xbox 360 side for forever. I think they kind of realized that if you give us too much freedom with the roster editor, we could make games last a while. Now, of course, this isn't the game that I would probably keep alive. I'd probably go back to Madden 23. I think player, the mold of the bodies as well, the player shapes and stuff, the body types and stuff like that, I think those looked better in last year's game, as well as they were easier to edit as well. So I would personally go back to 23 and keep that game alive, as well as I think it just ran a little smoother, in my opinion. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and get into the roster and get it downloaded and all that fun stuff. First and foremost, you guys are going to head over to the NFL Creation Center. So you'll probably start over Ultimate Team, Quick Player Franchise, whatever you last played. Head over to the NFL, the little NFL icon, or the NFL Creation Center. Then you guys are going to head to Share and Manage Files, of course. Like I said, this is my file. I've done all the work on this myself. This is a PS5 exclusive roster. Sorry to anybody that is on last gen or on Xbox or PC. I just prefer PlayStation. That's the console I played on for most of my life, and I'm not going to change it now at this point. And of course, we are a top 5 roster file this year with 237,000 downloads. Now, by the time you're seeing this, could be closer to 240, but we are on the front page, so it is easier to find. If you do want the Madden 24 roster update, which doesn't change anything, it's just a different title. It's a backup roster just in case one of these does get corrupted, then at least I still have the other one. And, you know, people tend to go towards the Madden 25 or whatever the next year's Madden title will be roster update. I've noticed that over the past 3 seasons, but still, nonetheless, you guys will want to download it. You do have to download it every time you want the new update. So whether or not you've already downloaded it or you haven't, you will need to download again. It should bring up this screen. Overwrite my file or save it as a new file. Overwriting just takes the old file and gets rid of it, brings in the new file, keeps the same name. If you save it as a new file, you will have to, of course, put a new name underneath it. So, and then you guys want to go ahead and go load the roster. Now, of course, if you overwrote the file, you just load the one that you downloaded. If you saved it as a new file, you have to load the new file. You cannot load Madden 25 roster update with the old file and expect to have the new roster. Okay, and then you guys can come over to edit rosters. You guys can see, of course, Keenan Allen, Caleb Williams, and then as we scroll through, you'll see more and more of the rookie quarterbacks, Bo Nix, and stuff like that. One thing I'm going to state, because this is something that I get questioned about a lot, is the player portraits. The player portraits, so the little player icon that shows up next to the player's name, those are not supposed to be based upon how they look how they look without their helmet. Is based upon how they look in game while you're playing in franchise mode or quick play, so that the player models look correct. I'm not worried about the player portrait, and nobody really gives a fuck about. At least I don't. I don't give a fuck about the player portrait. If you do, you can go change the player's head scan all you want. Now, of course, like I said, I went from picks 1 to 223. That's where I hit my creative player limit. So the last player you'll see in the draft class is Trey Taylor, a 65 overall strong safety out of the Air Force. He was the last player that I was able to create. I'm probably going to hope to get about 10 or so extra players done. Whether or not they're in the 7th round or whether or not they're undrafted will be determined on who I pick. You know, a couple guys that I particularly like is Michael Pratt, the QB that went to Green Bay, as well as I like Brendan Rice. I would like to put him on the Chargers just because of how shallow the Chargers receiving room is. I definitely think he could beat out some of these lower end guys like Simi Fehoko out of Stanford. I think with just his age and stuff, I think he could have a real chance of beating him out. And then Darius Davis is more of a just kick return specialist or just gadget player. I don't think he's the prototypical wide receiver. I think Brendan Rice could make the opening day roster. Now, of course, there's going to be more players that I do want to add. Of course, I won't be able to add all of them because, like I said, something that I have to go do if I do want to add these guys is I have to go over to basically the free agent section, and then I have to go to any position. It does not matter, and I have to look for a player that would match their age. So as you can see, there's not a whole ton of 21-year-old in free agent to begin with. So that is something that would happen, right? So if I wanted to go make a player, I have to go find somebody that is that age. Now I'm not worried about the particularly at the particular birthday. That's not as big of an issue. It's more just about the common age. So as you can see, there's not even a whole ton of 22-year-olds. So there will be a little bit of a difficulty if some of the guys are 22 and not 23, 24. You know, I've counted one 21-year-old and I think maybe 3 or 4 22-year-olds, maybe 5. So there's not a whole ton of wiggle room there, right? Of course, if you are looking at some of the players' ages in Madden, some of them might be a little bit younger than what they are in real life currently, because I did submit their birthdays, and I don't know when exactly the player management screen has it set to where you're starting the season. And of course, age will change when you jump into franchise because it'll reset it to the 2023 season. So everybody's going to be a year younger. Now, of course, all the first round picks, like I said, because I cannot change contracts and stuff, they will automatically have that 5th year option assigned to them, which I think is pretty good because then it will keep the rookie classes kind of separated. Now, granted, of course, this is not Caleb Williams' actual contract. I wouldn't be surprised because I think Joe Burrow's been in the league for how many years? And he got like a $27 million signing bonus. So Yeah, he's been in the league now for 4 seasons. He got a $27 million signing bonus 4 years ago. I wouldn't be surprised if that signing bonus is more north of $35 million now for especially the number 1 overall pick in a guy like Caleb Williams. So contracts will be off. Of course, like I said, I cannot change those. If you guys want to change contracts, all that fun stuff, dev traits, those can all be changed inside a franchise. I can't do anything for quick play players. I'm sorry. I do not know if you can load this roster and then hop into Superstar mode and if the roster will show up. I highly doubt it just based off of EA and Madden and their lack of, doing shit like that. Because I don't even think you can do that same situation in 2K. So it is a little bit harder. I know you can do it in MLB. I just don't think you can do it in Madden. I don't know. I've never played the Superstar mode, especially over the last couple seasons. But like I said, it's a very good roster. If there's somebody that's on a team that shouldn't be on a team, whether it's because they got released or because their contract ran out and I just didn't release them, go ahead and leave it down below. I'll be more than happy to fix it when I do see your comment. Trust me, I've seen a ton of people say stuff, and I've gotten them done. I left Stephon Gilmore on the Cowboys for a while, and somebody was like, hey, he's actually supposed to be a free agent, so I got him off. Andreas Pete, I got him moved to the Raiders. I forgot to do Ben Skoranek for a while, getting traded from the Rams to the Texans. He's now on the Texans, of course. Now, of course, just because I don't make a video or anything like that doesn't mean I haven't got a roster update done. I will say that, especially for Madden right now, because I am trying to get these updated at least once a day, because jersey numbers are being released or anything like that. And we'll go into the last point here. All overalls are based upon when a player is selected. So, for example, Caleb Williams, as you saw a couple of the QBs, Drake May being a 73 here. We'll scroll through because I know there's one more rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. The quarterbacks, kickers, and punters have their own specialized overalls, but then once you got guys go to like a team like the Cardinals, who do have Marvin Harrison Jr., that's when the overalls reset and go back up to that 81 that I like to have, which is basically, going down the board, as you guys can see, the overalls do change. Some groups of players do have the same overall and stuff. I can't, give everybody designated overalls and stuff. So everybody that you do see, every single rookie that is created by me, of course, these guys will have specialized overalls based upon how I think the player will perform, how good a player, and, their ratings are based upon what I think of the player, right? I'm not going to be 100% every single time. It just is what it is. I'm a one-man guy that does this roster. It's not like I have a team behind me being like, this guy, when he's playing on the field, he's running basically a 4.340. But at the combine, he ran a 4.4. So, let's average this out and get this speed. No, it's all eye test stuff for me, for the most part. And somebody was trying to be like, why does this guy have such low speed? He ran a 4.3, like 840. And I'm like, because he looks slow on tape. He just does. He didn't look like he was, accelerating down the field at a very particularly fast rate. It's not all about 40. We've seen that time and time before. Okay, so overall is all based upon when a player is picked. As you guys can see, Adonai Mitchell, 71. He was drafted a little bit later. And then Anthony Gould, another receiver taken out of Oregon State, a little bit lower overall because he's taken later, of course. Luke McCaffrey, same deal, right? So all overalls are based upon when a player is picked. It is the most unbiased way I could do it, to where I'm not giving players overalls whether or not I like them. It's more about, what teams think of them and stuff like that. Now, yes, it does give benefit to the doubt to a lot of players, but I think it's a fair and even way to introduce the rookies without fucking some of them over just because I don't like them or something of that nature. If you guys do enjoy this video for any reason, whether or not you guys like the roster or whatever, I would appreciate it if you guys do stick around and subscribe. I'll have more content like this. I do 2K roster updates as well in the off seasons and stuff, and well, at least when the new game goes away, that's when the off season rosters do kick in and stuff like that. So I do 2K roster updates as well. I'm going to be updating this all the way up to Madden 25. Of course, the name of Madden 25 is just going to be Madden 25. They're not doing anything different because of, Madden 14 11 years ago or whatever. I'm hoping to have some NCAA content come out depending on what, depending on the game and stuff, all that fun stuff. Like I said, please stick around and subscribe. I'll have more roster updates coming out. I'll have 2K roster updates coming out shortly once the season is over, as well as I'll have a ton of other content that I do have planned to get pushed out to you guys. Thank you again so much for the support, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.